It's now time for Nemeth News. Episode 2. This feature debuted last week, but we're doing it again. And first up on Nemeth News, this is a black cab. Maybe this is the future of black cabs. Would you love to be soaring through the sky at 160 miles an hour, face down looking at the traffic, rather than being stuck in it? Well, you're in luck, because this might exist soon. Everybody in agreement? Yeah, totally. That's what you'd think, isn't it? Catkit saying nope. Yeah, everybody would, apart from Catkit, obviously. No, actually, I don't think I would. Anyway, this is the Zeva Aero. Hope I've said it right. It's just over 2 meters. Well, it's more like 2.5 meters. It's made of carbon fibre, 2.5 meters across. Runs on rechargeable battery packs. So far, they've got scale model working. That's an eighth of the size, but they're hoping to have a person in a full-size one, within a few months. Catkit saying, I feel like I might lose my breakfast in it. Well, yeah, it apparently goes up vertically and then flips to horizontal mode within 20 seconds. So, yeah, it would be a bit... you wouldn't want a snack before going in it. Well, I don't know. Is it better to have an empty stomach or not? You shouldn't swim on an empty stomach. I don't know. I don't know how that applies to vertical takeoff. Lying on your chest, literally, because when you have to climb into it and lie on your chest, and I presume you don't have to just hold on. I presume that there's more to it than that. But I mean, yeah. Cylindrical Cake saying, at least if we carry that around, everyone will be socially distancing from us. Yeah, quite. No way that flies, says Nutsnut. Well, not that one, no, because that's a prop. A prop. Bad pen there. No, but that's a prop. They've built an 8th size scale one, which is basically like a remote control plane. It literally is just a remote control plane. Well, it's an automated remote control plane. Maybe it's not remote controlled of its own. But yeah, they've demonstrated that it works, but on one like this big. So, well, it's not an 8th, but an 8th of 2.5 meters. Mm-hmm. Expected me to do quick maths now, but it's going to be like, yeah, it's not going to be much bigger than that. It's about this big, probably, I'm guessing. The 8th scale one. So yeah, you're right, in a sense. This does not fly, currently, but it might in the future. So, we're moving from the fastest taxi ride to the fastest internet, talking about my internet and whether or not it would hold out. Swansea, apparently. Would you believe? Swansea is the home of, or someone's home in Swansea, more accurately, is the fastest broadband service in the UK, or has. Gosh, grammar is great on this show, isn't it? Yeah, a house in Heilvrin in Birch Grove, which is just down the road from me, only a couple of miles down the road from me, has the fastest measured broadband service in the UK. Apparently you could download a 2-hour HD film in just 47 seconds. Now, this was a real surprise to me, because I thought Cardiff had gigabit broadband and Swansea was yet to have it. I knew we had, like, if you're on the right Sky broadband deal, I'm not sponsored by anybody, other brands are available and all that, but I knew that there was the 150 megabyte deal that's on the telly. Now, I knew that there were, variations on fibre to the premises on demand that you could possibly get, but I had no idea that there was wholesale broadband available at gigabit speeds anywhere near Swansea, and they're on the proper broadband back-end pipeline, whatever you want to call it. They're on the main line, amazingly, for gigabit fibre. So yeah, in Swansea. I knew they were doing a trial in Merthyr Tydfil, and I was very envious of it, but yeah, so there we are. I'm happy with my 80 megabits. I'd just be happier if it stayed at 80 megabits, but we'll see. The fix that I've introduced might just have it, maybe. Touch wood. Try not to jinx myself. But yeah, 47 seconds for a 2-hour HD film in a house in Birch Grove, compared to the UK's slowest internet. Apparently there were parts of Cardiff that still had 0.38 megabits. That's less than half of what I had on ADSL before I switched to fibre. The slowest is in a street in Crewe with a whopping top speed of 0.24 megabits per second. So let's get a sense of scale. My download speed currently is pretty near as the maximum you can get. Okay? If I literally lived on top of the cabinet, it would be 80 megabits per second. I get 79. Pretty happy with that, especially having been on ADSL before that, where I had a top speed of about 10 to 11 megabits per second. It was a bit higher. It came down, but it's like 10 to 11 megabits per second is half decent. 0.24 megabits per second? It's not quite dial-up, but it's probably as close as you can get on a modern day internet connection on a modern phone line. Nuts saying you maybe wouldn't go out of sync if you had gigabit. Well, no, that's a webcam bandwidth issue and a USB bandwidth issue, not an internet bandwidth issue. I can't blame the internet on this one, sadly. Swansea City Centre has it too, says CatKids. Again, genuinely, I didn't know that. I thought Swansea was waiting to get it. Thunder Phoenix saying the only part of Wales I've been to, Cardiff a few years ago, and Rhyl. Yes, yeah. Never been to Rhyl. Been to Llandudno, haven't been to Rhyl. Rid? Where's Rid? Nuts saying probably still using AOL. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. How much was fibre? Says Malice. What? My fibre? What I'm paying for is about... I can't remember off the top of my head, but it ended up actually bizarrely being cheaper than ADSL. That's what ultimately made me make the switch. I mean, I was frustrated with slow speeds for streaming, but I managed 9 months on ADSL, and I'd have carried on. But when I found out that it would actually be cheaper for me to have faster internet, I was intentionally paying more for far slower internet. Well, it was a no-brainer then. So I can't remember exactly, but it was about at least £5 or £10 less per month. They said I could be saving £200 by going for fibre broadband. Well, £200 a year. I think actually on balance it was more like £100 a year. Although that might be because I went for the higher deal to have the higher upload speeds. So I'm on 80/20 now. 80 megabits download, 20 megabits upload. Get pretty close to that. As I say, it's 79 megabits down, 18 megabits up. More than enough for streaming. I know lots of people insist on streaming at ridiculous bit rates, but you only need 3 megabits, 4.5 maybe. But remember, on ADSL I was streaming at less than 1 megabit per second, so it can be done. And there is a YouTube video on my YouTube channel, Slick, !YouTube, telling you how I did it and how you can do it too. Bonus fact, CatKit saying 0.25 megabits used to be the minimum speed in order to sell broadband. It is now 1 megabit per second. Yeah, well, I would blooming hope so. At least 1 megabit per second is just about usable. 0.25 megabits is not great. It's really not great. Especially as, it might have been okay at the start, but now websites are taking advantage of the faster speeds. Maybe relying on it a bit too much, in which case, even basic websites or websites that would have been basic or you'd expect to be basic are now full of stuff and just take ages to load. So, yeah. I've never been to Rhyl on purpose, says Cylindrical Cake. Oh. Thunder Phoenix saying, I've not been to Rhyl since they renamed the Pleasure Centre. Oh, terrible. Well, talking about, there we are. That leads in to a completely unrelated story, but talking about new traditions. CatKit suggested this story. Grandmother Wanda Dench from Mesa, Arizona in the USA sent a text to the wrong number one day and accidentally invited Jamal Hinton to Thanksgiving. I can't actually tell who I pointed at there. Again, I'm not a professional newscaster. I just pointed randomly at the square. I'm not pointing at anybody particular here. What's really nice, though, and really heartwarming, is that they're still meeting up for Thanksgiving every year, all these years later. Responding to the text in the first year, well, responding to the very first text, Jamal said, "You're not my grandma," with a selfie of his family, but ended with, "Can I still get a plate, though?" And Wanda replied, "Of course you can, that's what grandmas do, feed everyone." Of course, then it was shared on Twitter, it was shared online, it went viral, and I think I did hear about it, but I've been reminded of it, and all the details, and this is the photo he posted on Twitter saying, "We're all set for year 6. So they've met for 6 years in a row. This was only a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, Thanksgiving, wasn't it? We save our turkey here for Christmas Day. None of this having it like a month early thing. So that was a lovely story, I thought. Just an accidental text, a little bit of good humour, a little bit of friendliness, and you know. I mean, obviously, I guess if it had been somebody home alone and another person home alone, maybe it wouldn't have worked. But because it was a selfie of the whole family, I guess it was, you know, and yeah, just a friendship has blossomed from it, and we need more of that in the right circumstances, of course. Don't randomly text someone now, okay? That's bad. This is an accident that had a happy ending. That's okay. Yeah. Thanksgiving was last Thursday. Hang on, but it said the 14th on here. I thought it was more recent than that. Well, I guess Thanksgiving moves like Easter moves, so maybe the first text was sent on the 14th. Can Thanksgiving be that early? I don't really know how it works. We don't do Thanksgiving. We've sort of stolen Black Friday now, I guess, but we don't really do Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was near Black Friday, so that's how I know it sort of happened. But you know, everybody was tweeting about having a nice holiday. I was like, what do you want about? There's no holidays till like another month or so. Oh yeah, you're in America and Thanksgiving. Yeah. Last Thursday of November. Okay, it can't have been. All right, I misread the date. I thought it was last week. I read the date and misguided myself into thinking it was earlier than that, and yeah, I was right the first time. Should have stuck with my first answer. Cylindrical Cake saying, I heard Thanksgiving will be on a Thursday next year. I imagine so. And finally, bong. One day I'll click the button and say the bong at the same time. The Twitch Winter Gathering is coming up. Remember that Twitch gaming gathering that happened a few months ago, where we were all, not you, but, well, you might have been. If you've got a Twitch account, you might have been. We were all sent an email to say that we could co-stream the Twitch gaming gathering, and I did some comedy sketches about the whole palaver, so I hope that doesn't happen again. The whole palaver where they said, you can co-stream everything, and then gradually everybody who was part of it started saying, apart from this, oh, and you can't do this one, and yeah, we'd rather you didn't co-stream this one. It's like, you'd think they'd have sorted out the permissions in advance. So anyway, I wasn't going to moan about that, but now I have anyway. And they're doing it all again next week. So, yeah. Fingers crossed we'll be actually allowed to co-stream everything, although I won't be. I'll miss Thursday. It's happening next Thursday and next Friday. But I'm actually not here next Thursday. It looks away. More on that in a bit, but yeah. Remind me that so yeah, I'm gonna miss the start of this gathering, but it all kicks off on the Twitch gaming channel at 7 p.m. Officially it's 11 a.m. Pacific time. Let's try that again. It's 11 a.m. Pacific time, but because time zones, it starts at 7 p.m. our time, if I've calculated that correctly, with Game Award shows. There's an Xbox showcase. As usual, there's things I don't understand, like the Devolver Public Access, Lost Goblins, Situation Code Miko. I know I saw a tweet earlier. Someone was getting very, very excited because Code Miko had popped into their chat. So I guess they're big. But I'm still learning this whole Twitch thing. Is like, you know, every so often I'll think, oh, I'm up to date on all of this, and then it's like, ooh. Who's that? How dare you have a life outside streaming, says Kakit. Yeah, maybe that should have been the and finally. So yeah, I might be co-streaming some of that next week, but yeah, as I say, because time zones, well, Thursday stuff doesn't finish until 4 in the morning, and I've got work the next day. And, in the and finally, I'll be coming back from a gig. So, there we are. I know lots of musicians have been gigging, so this is not a new thing necessarily, but I've not been. I've partly used the excuse of uni work, and it's a blooming good excuse, because there've been some weekends I've needed to take off entirely to finish uni work, so it's not an excuse, it's a real genuine reason. But also trying not to bring down the stream, but you know, I'm nervous to get back out, especially with, you know, yeah, new variants and stuff. Let's not get too down about it, but let's be honest about it. So I'm nervous, but I've agreed to do this one gig as a bit of an exception to the rule. I did do a gig a couple of months ago at a wedding as well, and I thought, well, that's relatively safe because it's all family, and family are going to have the best interests of the rest of their family at heart, and so, relatively speaking, I thought, the risk is low. Relatively speaking, because risks can only ever be relative, of course, and the only zero risk thing to do is stay at home and not do anything. So actually, quite a lot of the time, that's what I've been doing. Maybe going out shopping every so often, but basically staying at home, working from home, doing assignments from home, streaming from home. I sometimes open the front door to get some fresh air, but don't be too sad for me. I could go, but it's like, again, it's like it has to be worth the risk. And this is a friend who's doing a gig, and it'll be a bit of a nice little Christmas show. I've been reassured that the tables will be all spaced out, and they're going to be checking that people have done their lateral flow tests and stuff. So it's like, again, on balance, relatively speaking, yeah. But I'm not saying yes to everything, because the more I say yes to, the more the risk goes up, and I need to keep myself healthy for work. So it's all very well people saying, the risks will be fine, but yeah, they might be, but I can't afford to just take sweeping periods off work when I could have easily avoided it. Does that make sense? Is that too harsh? I'm not trying to be too harsh. So sometimes I'll end up erring on the side of caution, whereas somebody else would be quite reasonable in going to something because we can't all just stay at home doing nothing. I wouldn't knock somebody else for doing some things. There are other things I would knock them for, but yeah. So it's the exception to the rule. It should be a quiet night in general, where the venue is. Has a bit of a reputation for being quite busy on the weekends, but in the middle of the week we should be all right. So yeah, I actually toyed with saying to the person I'm gigging with, can we live stream it? But the problem with that is, even if they said yes, it's all originals, or it would be mostly original music, but if they just threw a cover in, I could hardly just say, sorry, stop the gig, I've got to rush to my phone to stop the Twitch stream. It wouldn't be fair, would it, really? And if I said that in advance, it definitely wouldn't be fair. It's like, oh, by the way, because we're on stream, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do the other. They're going to quite rightly turn around to me and say, Jim, I've got a Christmas show to do. I've got a lot in my head right now. I don't need this extra stuff. So, yeah, I don't think, unfortunately, it's going to be at all practical for me to live stream it. But I don't know. Well, maybe I'll do a bonus live stream. Look, here I am going into the venue with my new... Because I actually made a face mask, right? I haven't got it to hand now. And I don't want to waste it, so I may as well keep it clean. If I dirty it now, I'm going to have to wash it. And that's a wash it didn't need. And I guess every wash is going to make it fade. But yeah, there is an Nemeth Sphere face mask, and it's going to debut at that gig. So I thought, what better excuse, really, to wear it. Anyway, I suppose and finally, let's see if that fixes works, right? Last week I was saying, well, I wasn't saying much because I was dropping off the internet frequently. Look at this. Apart from that, that's where I turned the router off and on earlier. Look at that. Look at that. Flat as a pancake. Absolutely. Well, okay. There's a little bit of flutter, but that's normal. In fact, if you've done any measuring with any digital device, you'll know that that's perfectly normal. It just means that the actual noise level is somewhere between two numbers, and it's rounding up and rounding down, right? So stable, unlike my life's a cylindrical cake. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you, honestly. Because, same. But yeah, that I'm pretty proud of. It has stayed flat for prolonged periods in the past, so still all open to still going wrong, but touch wood. I mean, we haven't gone anywhere yet. The technical glitches we've had have not been at all related to the internet.